Hey everybody, welcome to 5 Minutes With. I'm your host, Natalie Bencivenga, and this week we are kicking things off with not one, but two guests. That's right. We are going to be chatting with Khamil Scantling. She is running for Pittsburgh Public School Board Director District 7, and Jean Walker running for Pittsburgh Public School Board Director District 9. I had to have my notes in front of me because it's kind of a mouthful. So thanks so much for being here, you guys.
Thanks for having me.
So before we get started, I just want to share with everyone just a few little tidbits about both of you. So Khamil is the founder of Cocopreneur Pittsburgh. That's a Black business consultancy. She is also an entrepreneur, philanthropist, and activist. And Jean worked with the Pittsburgh Promise before launching Mission C in 2018 to provide financial education and support for families facing eviction. And now he's an accredited financial counselor, as well as being a direct support professional for adults with intellectual disabilities. You both are extremely busy, and so I'm very happy that you made time to see me. So thank you so much. So, absolutely. So let's just kick it off. Khamil, I'll start with you. Why did you decide to run?
Yeah, so it's kind of simple. I decided to run for my kids and all of their friends and all of the other children that are in the city and in the region. I noticed that there were some really large inequities between the difference in quality of education for children, not only between schools, but within schools. So depending on, the access that parents might have, navigating systems, knowing things like that, the outcomes for students could be drastically different in the same school. So my lens around equity, fairness, making sure that we address injustices really made me pay attention to what was happening in the school district. So with that, and having an organizational lens, understanding how to run a business, and I mean, school districts are a nonprofit business more or less, but understanding that really helped me understand that there were some tweaks that could be made that could really set the district on track to recuperating from some of the issues that they've run into in like the past 20 years or so. But that's primarily the reason.
And Jean, what about you?
Yeah, I think for me, I am a graduate of Pittsburgh Public Schools, and I have two children, one who graduated in 2019 and one who's graduating in about 9 weeks. And I've also worked alongside of Pittsburgh Public Schools with my time at the Promise. And so I've seen Pittsburgh Public Schools in action from 3 different vantage points, and have been able to see very much of the good that they do, but also some of the places where vast improvement is needed. And so at this point in the school district's life, I believe we're at a critical point where we need bold leadership that's willing to stand up to the administration and do the things that are right for kids, but also be willing to stand alone if we are the only ones willing to stand up for kids. And so that's really the motives behind why I got into the race. And really, we want to uplift our kids and produce high quality students. And we want to support our teachers who are right now really needing folks who are going to fight on their behalf to make sure that they can do the best job they can do.
And what neighborhoods do your districts include? Jean, if you want to kick that one off.
Yeah, so District 9 is wide. It covers parts of the north sides, including Brighton Heights, Summerhill, Marshall Shadeland, Observatory Hill, and then goes into most of the West End neighborhoods. And there are about 12, so I won't list them all off, but it's much of the West End.
Got it. And Khamil?
Yeah, so my neighborhoods are in the South. So Allentown, Arlington, Beachview, Bon Air, Carrick, East Brookline, Knoxville, Mount Oliver, Overbrook, Southside Flats, and Southside Slopes are parts of those 2 areas. So, mostly the South. The schools, Arlington, Concord, Roosevelt, Phillips, Southbrook, Carrick High School, and Online Academy are part of all that.
So before we get into understanding the issues, I want everyone to understand exactly what the school board does and what your role would be. So would either of you like to just give a quick synopsis of what your role would be in this position? What would you be doing?
Sure. So I'll take that one. And so the school board really has two main functions. The first is the school board is the direct supervisor for the superintendent. So we hire the superintendent. We make changes to the superintendent if that's necessary. We do his or her evaluations. And then the second main function is we approve budgets. So we approve the budget of the district that's presented by the superintendent, and then approve any additions or subtractions to that budget throughout the year. So those are the two main functions outside of supporting, the schools in our district.
Khamil, when you decided to do this, was it what you expected getting into this race?
It was not. So, I mean, I generally work with the public, meeting the needs of people, right? Having conversations with folks in community. So that part, is part of the process, but it takes a lot of work, mostly around campaigning, right? Like for me, I just want to get in and do the work. The campaigning part has been a different type of beast. And, we're running for school board directors, generally not a position that requires a lot of attention, or it should require a lot of attention from folks, but it generally doesn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think our particular situation with Pittsburgh Public right now, the fact that we have 5 seats up for election,
mm-hmm.
and having an overhaul more or less of folks who are interested in getting in those seats, it has been quite a bit of work running these campaigns.
Mm-hmm. And how about for you, Jean? Was there anything that sort of surprised you or made you nervous?
Yeah, I think all of it. I think all of us got into this, and I certainly did, because we have the kids at the center of what we're hoping to help. But I think for me, the most surprising thing, I think 2 things are surprising. One is my view of what running a campaign is skewed by our national politics, which tends to be endless. And so we are asked to do all of the things that a national campaign does on a slightly smaller scale, but in a condensed 9-week time frame. And so where I had free time before, it gets quickly filled in. And so that's been the most surprising part. The other surprising part is just how enthusiastic people are for these local races. It's easy to lose track of that when you see all of the national stuff, but I've been really encouraged by being able to talk to folks and just how into school board so many people are.
And Jean, to piggyback off of that, when it comes down to the issues, once let's say you are elected and in place, what is an issue you really want to tackle?
Yeah, so my first and I think most important issue is the accountability that we show in our budget and how we spend our money. My philosophy is that, if you want to show me what's important to you, show me how you spend your money. And so we want to make sure that our district is transparent in how they are both talking about their priorities, but then also how they're funding those priorities. And so that is one of the 3 top priorities that I have, but probably the most important because it is a $673 million question.
And Khamil, what does that question mean to you?
Yeah, for me, I would say that the top priority, if I had to pick one, would be creating more strategic collaborations between the school district and all of the numerous resources we have in this region. Mm-hmm. We have some really heavy hitting companies, corporations, philanthropic organizations in our region. And it would be nice if we had pipelines from when children started their education at 2 and 3 years old, maybe even before that, mm-hmm. through to high school. And once they leave out those high school doors and start their lives, right? It would be really nice if we had all of our folks in on this initiative to make sure that we are really forming community around education, around our students.
And Khamil, why do you think people need to care about these issues in particular around the school board? Because I think a lot of local elections, people we know they don't turn out to vote. So why do people need to care about this in particular?
Yeah, school board affects quite a few things that we don't necessarily realize, right? The obvious one is if you have children who you take care of, who have to go through the school system, it is front and center for you. So this is, again, how we decide how much money we're going to spend on certain resources, certain supports for our kids, what the system will look like in general, right? If you don't have children, but you live near children, the children are everywhere. Like, they're a part of our society just like everybody else. So when you think about the person who's going to serve you at Chick-fil-A during their summer job, they're affected by a school board. When you think about your property taxes, that is also something that gets affected by school board. Those are decisions that school board has to see and make decisions on too. So it really should be an all-in approach, because school board dictates quite a few things for each and every one of us tax-paying folks.
And as we wrap up this 5 minutes with Jean, I'm going to toss the last question to you. If you were meeting with someone that said, my vote doesn't matter, I'm not going to bother, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would. First, I would say I completely understand, because our national politics skews how we view the importance of our everyday vote. And then I would counter with just a reminder that everything that you see happening on the national stage starts in your neighborhood. It starts with a decision by a school board member, a city council person, a county council person. It starts there, and it only reaches CNN or MSNBC after so many of these local things have kind of blown up. So local elections are where they're at. It's where you're going to feel the impact of those decisions tomorrow. You won't have to wait for it to hit the news, because you'll know if your school district or your city or county makes a decision, because you'll see it immediately. So that's what I would say. And then I would encourage them to just go out and vote, so that their voice is heard, and they have a stake in the game.
And you lose nothing from voting. Like, let's just say that too. You lose absolutely nothing by going out and voting.
No, and that's an excellent point. Thank you both so much for spending just a little bit more than 5 minutes with me and really shedding some light and some education around what a school board does and the importance of getting involved in local politics. So thank you both again.
Thank you,
Natalie.